It is time for another 2023 NBA mock draft, but in this one, it is going to be a GM mock draft. Now, if you don't know what a GM mock draft is, it's basically what I would do if I was the general manager of these teams. Usually every mock, basically every one of my normal mocks, is my prediction on what's going to happen on draft night. And I don't particularly agree with it sometimes. So in this case, I'm going to be drafting all 30 first round picks on what I would do if I was the one making those selections. If you guys do enjoy the mock draft content, I would appreciate you dropping a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments, if you were the general manager of your favorite team, who would you take in this draft? Now, if I was the GM of the San Antonio Spurs, I would take Amen Thompson with the first overall pick. I'm just kidding. If I was the GM of the number one pick, but you didn't tell me what team it was 2 years ago, I would have said, yeah, you're still taking Victor Wembanyama number one overall. No brainer there. So excited to see him in San Antonio. I mean, I mentioned it in my post-lottery mock, but he was like, that was one of the destinations that I really wanted to see him go to. And I'm so excited to see him with other guys like Sohan and Branham, Vassell and Johnson. I hope they add a veteran point guard in the offseason as well, just to help out Wemby's development. If I was the Hornets at 2, this is where I think I may differ than some people. I'm taking Scoot Henderson. I know you might be like, Matt, they have LaMelo Ball. Take Brandon Miller. They don't need another point guard. Well, one, when you're this bad in the NBA, and the Hornets have been basically for the last decade, or their franchise's history, you don't take positional need when you're drafting in the top 5. You take the best player available, and in my opinion, that is Scoot Henderson. He's the second player in the draft on my board. He's most people's consensus number 2 player in this draft. The Sacramento Kings in 2020 took Tyrese Halliburton in the lottery when they already had De'Aaron Fox, and everybody was like, can they be together? But they're both really good. But it gave you that premium, that value, that good problem to have, where you could trade one of them, in which the Kings did, to get like somebody that made them better, Domantas Sabonis for Halliburton, a really good all-star, all-NBA caliber player that helped them make the playoffs. So you draft Scoot Henderson now. If you think it may not work out, but they're both playing really well, hey, you can move LaMelo for somebody really good, and that can enhance Scoot Henderson, or vice versa, trade Scoot and keep building around LaMelo. So yeah, in that case, it's a no-brainer for me. And if I was the general manager of the Portland Trailblazers, I would select Brandon Miller at 3. I would stay at 3, and I would trade Damian Lillard. I'm not really in the boat or like on that side of the debate where you should trade pick 3 and Anthony Simons, get like a Paul George or Pascal Siakam. I just don't think your ceiling's going to be high enough. You don't have that good of a roster even around those guys, and Dame's getting a year older. Just trade Damian Lillard, Portland, like before he loses all his trade value, because he's making so much money. He isn't getting any younger. He's 32 years old. Go out and trade Dame for multiple firsts and a good young player to build around, and add to that core of Miller, Simons, and Sharp. Just please do that. We're here with the Rockets at 4, and it's looking like the Rockets might get James Harden next year. I think for now, though, I would still take Amen Thompson because of that point guard need. Now, if they went out and got James Harden, I would maybe pivot to Cam Whitmore or Jarris Walker, somebody that could help you out on the defensive end, or I would even think about trading down. But I don't know if they're getting James Harden yet, so I'm still going to have them select Amen Thompson. But yeah, I think if they got like James Harden, I don't think I would take Amen, because their pick next year is top 4 protected to the Thunder. So you kind of want to be good, unless you think you're going to be in the top 4. But if you sign Harden, you don't plan on being in the top 4. So why don't you take somebody that could help you out a little bit more impactful than Amen Thompson as like a backup point guard, especially if you keep Kevin Porter Jr. With the 5th overall pick, if I was the Detroit Pistons, I would look at 3 players: Asor Thompson, Cam Whitmore, or Jarris Walker. And for them, I like Jarris Walker here at 5. I think like Isaiah Stewart isn't the long-term answer as you're starting 4. Obviously, it's not Bojan Bogdanovic or Marvin Bagley. So I think you take Jarris Walker, who could be a great pick and roll partner, power forward combo, just teammate to Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham long term. And he could space the 4 and help out Jalen Duren, who could be your franchise 5. And then you're still kind of in that market for that small forward, but that's okay because it's a pretty loaded position throughout the NBA. And I would take Jarris Walker if I had the 5th overall pick, or if I was the general manager of the Pistons at 5. If I were the Magic at 6, I would look at Asor Thompson over Cam Whitmore. I like his upside, or at least his potential, a little bit more. And I don't think I love Cam Whitmore playing with Banchero and Franz Wagner. I don't think he would be utilized to the best of his ability. And I just don't think he would really work out in Orlando is what I'm trying to say. But I think he would work out in Indiana. I think you could even be a stretch 4 and play in between Mathurin and Miles Turner. And man, some of those lineups with like Halliburton and Hield in the backcourt, and then you give me Mathurin, Whitmore, and Turner would be super fun to watch, like a nice little lead pass team. If I had the 8th overall pick with the Washington Wizards, I'm taking a point guard. And you know what's kind of crazy? I think I would take Nick Smith Jr. I've been watching more and more of Nick Smith, and while he does have some bad film at times, like some bad games this past season for Arkansas, he did not play well in the tournament. I kind of like his decision making. I kind of like the way he moves on the floor. I think he's a very smart player for somebody of his age that dealt with multiple injuries in his freshman year in a really good conference. And I would take him. If I were the Washington Wizards at 8, I'm charting him still, and I think I'm going to have a top 10 grade on Nick Smith and be a little bit higher on him than some of these other point guards, like his teammate Anthony Black, like Cason Wallace, another SEC point guard, or Jalen Hood-Schifino, or Kobe Buffkin, who people are becoming very high on. If I had the 9th overall pick with the Utah Jazz, I'm taking Taylor Hendricks. Oh my God, yes. Lauri Markkanen at the 3. Hendricks at the 4, Kessler at the 5. I know you kind of need that 4 general point guard, but hey, you have other first-round picks in this draft, and it's a loaded point guard class. Dallas Mavericks need shooting around Luka Doncic, so I think you either go Jordan Hawkins or Grady Dick, but I think you take Grady Dick here if he falls to 10. I like that fit. I think he's a good athletic guy. He can play defense. 3-and-D guy, like, immediately around Luka Doncic. We have the Orlando Magic at pick 11. And I think I would have them take Jordan Hawkins, somebody that's a little bit older, not as raw as a prospect as some of these other guys. And you end up with Sword Thompson and Jordan Hawkins. I think that's a great shooting guard class for them, for sure. And with the 12th pick, OKC doesn't really need another guard, but I think like Anthony Black at 12 would be a really good fit defensively. They don't probably want to take another raw prospect either in like a Ryan Rupert or a Keontae George. They probably want somebody that can help them make the playoffs next year. And I think Black could be a nice backup guard defensively that can help them win games. Toronto at 13. This would either come down to Kobe Buffkin, Jalen Hood-Schifino, or Cason Wallace. And it's really just who I like the most out of those 3. And it is Cason Wallace. I think he could really like buy into what they're doing defensively over there in Toronto. Got to see who their next head coach is going to be. But I think I like him next to Scotty Barnes and Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby. That should be insane defensively. But they're probably going to be trading at least one of those guys this offseason, probably Pascal or Anunoby. 14, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. I would take Kobe Buffkin if I were the Pelicans here. Develop him to be your next franchise point guard. I don't know if Dyson Daniels is going to be a true 1 in this league. CJ McCollum isn't getting any younger. And I think Buffkin has franchise point guard potential. Not a franchise player, but he could be your point guard for a long time. We have the Atlanta Hawks here at 15. I like Bryce Sensabaugh. I think they should keep drafting some wings, and I like what he did as a freshman this past season for Ohio State. We have the Jazz at 16, and this is where I said you can get a point guard, Jalen Hood-Schifino at 16. Yes, he'd be my top point guard on the board remaining, and that's a no-brainer. And you end up with Taylor Hendricks and Jalen Hood-Schifino. Oh, that's really nice, man. Like, I would love that for the Jazz. I love this currently for the Orlando Magic. And man, I'm talking myself into Nick Smith at 8 to the Wizards. We have the Lakers here at 17. I would take Derek Lively. This man shooting throughout his combine and workouts has been insane. He's looked like a really good shooter. And if he can translate that to the next level with his elite shot blocking potential, man, he's going to be, I think, a lottery pick when that time comes. So at 17, that'd be a steal for the Lakers. 18, Miami Heat, Leonard Miller. I would maybe even think about taking Leonard Miller in the lottery if I were some teams. The potential is there. He may need a little bit of time to develop, but who better to develop than in that Heat system behind Jimmy Butler? Yeah, I would love Leonard Miller in Miami. Now we're on the clock with 19 with the Golden State Warriors. I think it comes out to somebody that can help them right away. And is that Jett Howard? Is that Keontae George? I'm going to have them take Jett Howard. I think it comes down to either Jett Howard or Chris Murray, in my opinion. But I think Howard is a little bit more NBA ready than a Keontae George or Bilal Coulibaly. So, yeah, I would go with him there. 20, Houston Rockets. They could still take some guys that can, like, be a little bit, or don't need to really come in and make an immediate impact and can develop over time. So Ryan Rupert at 20, I think is immense value. He might also go in the lottery as well. 21, the Nets need to take guys that have scoring potential. So Keontae George, I think this is the range where I would take him in the draft, probably within that 20 to 25 range. I'm not as high on Keontae George as some other people are for sure. 22, I would look at Noah Conley. I would look at Bilal Coulibaly. I would also look at Maxwell Lewis. There's a lot of good wings here still available in the 20s, and I'm going to have them take Coulibaly, who was Victor Wembanyama's teammate in France this past season. Portland at 23. I'm still operating on the idea that, okay, we're trading Damian Lillard, we drafted Brandon Miller, and we're going in a new era of Portland Trailblazers basketball. So I like the idea of getting Noah Conley, some more power forward depth there, and could probably even start for them if they don't bring back Jeremy Grant. And I don't know if they would if they ended up trading away Damian Lillard. At 24, the Sacramento Kings are on the clock, and they need defense, but they can look at that in free agency. So I would do some tampering, not really even tampering. I would just make my top 10 pick last year happy and take his brother and Chris Murray and have Chris Murray and Keegan Murray on the same team. That's what I would do if I was the general manager picking at 24. We have the Memphis Grizzlies here at 25. I like Maxwell Lewis as a scorer, shot creator for them off the bench. James Najee could also be another pick for them because they could use that center depth with Clark's injury and Adams being a free agent soon. Same with Xavier Tillman. We got the Pacers at 26. I think this is the perfect range to take Dariq Whitehead and take a chance on him, especially for a Pacers team. Like, you have 3 first-round picks, so I'm okay drafting Dariq Whitehead. Even if he doesn't work out, it's your 26th pick in the draft. You're more worried about Cam Whitmore working out than Dariq Whitehead. So we're on the clock with the Hornets here at 27. They could look at some guys that can help them kind of immediately, and I like Brandon Podziemski here out of Santa Clara. He's been killing it over the workouts and what I've been seeing from him, and I've been watching a little bit more film, so I'm deciding if I'm going to have a first-round grade on him. And it's looking like it. Very high basketball IQ and can help the Hornets right away. So you're ending up with 2 guards basically in this draft. We'll see. Yeah, maybe we'll see about that. Jazz here at 28, their 3rd first-round pick. Let's take the chance on Gregory Jackson Jr. This is probably where I would take him. I am not in the boat of taking Gregory Jackson Jr. in the lottery. And if he falls to pick 28 and this is your 3rd first-round pick, this is when I would feel comfortable taking Gregory Jackson. I would have taken him with the Pacers here if I didn't have him go to the Jazz. I like Trace Jackson Davis to come in and help you right away for Indiana, but I think somebody I still have a first-round grade on is Sidy Cissoko, and if I'm a Pacers team that's still kind of finding its identity, I would take him there. And then with the 30th pick, it comes down to either James Najee, Colby Jones. Olivier Maximus-Prosper is also getting a lot of first-round hype. You got Marcus Sasser that can help the Clippers right away, Jaquavion Smith, Jalen Wilson. There's a ton of guys here, but I like Trace Jackson Davis here out of Indiana to the Clippers there at 30. So basically, this is my first GM mock draft. I'll probably do one more of these leading up to the draft, closer to it when we get more intel, when we find out if any of these picks are traded. But yeah, this is what I would do if I was the general manager of all 30 NBA teams, or at least the teams that are selecting in the first round. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these picks in the comments below, especially for your favorite team. I'd love to hear that and what you would do differently. Drop a like if you guys do enjoy the draft content. I love you guys, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.